All right, welcome to our deals of the week. We got three pretty awesome houses this week. I think there are still two markets going on. There's one market where sellers still think it's 2022 or 2023 and that they can get some premium price for their house, and they're finding no one's going to come to see it. That is for the most part. Some neighborhoods are still hot, but by and large in St. Pete, things are cool enough that we can still say we're in a buyer's market, and that if you're not pricing your house correctly, you're not going to get any action, period. But I think I've got three, really two I know that are really good deals. The other one is just so nice. It seems like a good deal. I'm not sure. So let's just jump into it. The first house is at 3601 2nd Avenue, and this is in the Central Oak Park neighborhood. If you're not familiar with that, it is almost now becoming considered an extension of downtown. I'll show you exactly where we are. So here is Central, right down here, and then here's the house. This is dead center downtown. The dividing line is still, for those of you that are maybe from up north and are thinking about moving to St. Pete, the dividing line for downtown is 34th Street. 34th Street aesthetically is not the greatest street in the world, although it's improving because as sort of renovation development pushes this way, this starts to become nicer, this stretch of 34th Street. Like there are now $1 million townhouses on Central right before 34th Street, which a few years ago you would have never seen, because it's just, it's a lot of like, it's fast food, it's a 4-lane road, it's just, it's not that great. So the line between downtown, which was at 34th Street, is starting to blur a little bit, and that's why Central Oak Park is becoming so popular. It's just a little hop, skip, and a jump over 34th. So great location. This particular house, let's just jump into the price action because that is very important. We want to make sure that the listing agent and the seller are serious about selling the house. They're not overpricing it. They're not being unrealistic, because you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you waste a couple of weeks trying to negotiate with someone who has an inflated sense of what their house is worth, or is otherwise trapped and can't sell it for the current market price. We're just not going to be interested in that. So this one has only been on the market about 6 weeks. They start at $569. About 4 weeks later, $10,000, and then another $20,000. That shows me they're being aggressive. I would have argued this $424 was going to be not happening. I like to see, unless it's a really unusual house, I want to see it in the threes, 300 something a square foot. And if it needs a little bit of work or a little elbow grease, a little sweat equity, I would even like to see it in the twos. So this, at $400 a square foot, this house better be special, even given that it is in the Central Oak Park neighborhood. So let's just jump into the pictures. We can already see right from the first photo that it's got great curb appeal and a photographer that knows what they're doing. They framed this house really nice. Daytime shot here. Beautiful double front doors. Now remember, let me just go back because I don't even know if I said, this is not a big house. It's a 3.2, which is great. 1,341 square feet. Not huge, but we see a lot of houses that, once you get under, let's say 1,100 square feet or even under 1,000 square feet in a 3.2, you're going to see a chopped up house with, at least a few small rooms in it. So this one, is decent size, and for this neighborhood, Central Oak Park, which is full of bungalows as well, this house looks like it's been really cared for. And I want to drop a comment on this. I love highly designed houses. I love looking at them. I just sometimes wonder when there's too many of another person's personal touches in there that I might tire of them. Maybe I want something a little bit, not a blank slate, but something a little more modest in the extra touches. So as we go through this house, you can see, this is beautiful. This is a nice job. I don't know if this is staged. This looks staged to me. I'm not 100% sure if it's owner occupied. If it is, these people have really nice taste. Photographer's showing off a little bit here. A lot of light. Just gorgeous. Artwork. Yeah, this house looks like it's staged. So the living room, and you can get distracted. You get distracted. Beautiful wall here. Look at these beams up here. This really cool artwork. Centerpiece. this is not a huge room. I mean, if you look at it from any angle, this photographer is good because this is a super wide angle to be able to get all of this in one shot than it appears. And there's the front door, and here's the dining area. It looked a lot bigger, but it is a really nice house. These people spent a lot of money putting this house together. I don't know. I think this house has been through 2 transformations. The current owner did a lot of work, a lot of extra stuff. It had been renovated. I think it was in 2022 or something. There was a bigger renovation. So a lot of space. You could get a lot of people here. You could entertain for 1,300 square feet in a 3-bedroom. It feels like there's room, to have people over. And you see what I mean by, I would say over design, but you got wood beams, you got these, I love these. These look great, but they're very trendy. You got a gas stove, which is nice. I mean, even this is a nice touch. You have this beautiful stack stone backsplash, and then you got this center here, just kind of white. I don't know if that's subway tile, but it's kind of like subway tile. Renovated over the years. It probably started out as a 2-1. This is some of the quirks that you get, and I'm assuming that that's the case here because we got a little step up to the kitchen, which would be unusual. Like this might have been, and then of course this looks like a load-bearing beam here. So I'm assuming this might have been a Florida room at some point, maybe many years in the past. But it's gorgeous. It looks like a house out of a magazine. I mean, this looks like honestly, this looks like an ad for absolutely beautiful. It was completely renovated, I think starting in 2019, and they've just added on new sewer line in 2021. That's a good sign. Tented. I mean, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. $400 a square foot, which is on the high end for a non-pool home. For Central Oak Park, it's not way out of line if you ask me, but I would say that we'd be looking more, I would probably say, so drop a comment. Let me know what you think. I would say $390 a square foot on this one, which would put it at $522. I think that would be a fair price for a house that you would love to have friends and family over. I mean, it looks like it's out of Architectural Digest. Maybe it's too improved for the neighborhood. I don't know. Central Park is coming back pretty quickly. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think about this one, and then let's take a look at house number 2. All right, let's take a look at house number 2. This one is in the Jungle Terrace neighborhood, which we've been looking at a lot of houses out there lately because I don't want to say it's up and coming because it's pretty well established at this point, but more and more people are discovering it. And I think prices have, I don't know if they've completely bottomed there, but they seem to have bottomed there simply because the demand is going up. People are happy to look out there, even though it's a little bit of a drive to downtown. It's not terrible. There's a couple of quirks about this house, though, that you may or may not like. So let's just jump into it. It is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,600 feet, priced at $291 a square foot. All that looks great. We can see there's no garage, so there's a lot of shopping out there. The main mall for St. Pete, Tyrone Square Mall, is right out here. And in fact, it is right here. So you're like 2 minutes away from that. You're pretty close to the water here, but you are in the X flood zone, which means that you would not be required to purchase flood insurance. And then getting to downtown is pretty straightforward. Out to 34th, down 22nd, onto the interstate. It looks like a lot, but it's not. Maybe it's 15, 20 minutes, I would say, even with traffic. So it's not a bad drive downtown. It's pretty easy to get to the beaches as well. Let's take a look at the price action on this house. I mean, I love where they're at already. They started out, and this is what we're seeing. I didn't see this before. I just pulled it up a few minutes ago and put it in. This is what we're seeing a lot of. House was purchased in 2023 for $399. Things change. 3 years later, they put it on the market for $475. That tells me they're taking a shot at breaking even after commissions, taxes, all the transaction fees associated with real estate. They weren't trying to knock it out of the park here. It did not work. Although it's interesting that after a couple of weeks, it did go pending, went back on the market at the same price, which makes sense. And now $468, and now we're down to $465. So we're only 10 grand under, but at $291 a square foot for a 4-bedroom, that doesn't shock me at all. I think that's a house worth looking at. So let's buzz through the pictures see if there's anything interesting here. If you can see already, this is something. We'll get to that in a minute. That's not a house. I'll just tell you that right now. That's a commercial something or another. Beautifully done. People are either love or hate these terrazzo floors. I kind of like them because you can easily throw down a nice area rug. And these floors are pretty much indestructible. They need to be refinished every so often, but they are very common down here. House is built in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So it looks like this house is in nice shape, big open kitchen. Another photographer showing off with the blurred background there. Super clean. And you can see here, this probably was a closed kitchen at some point. So this probably was the wall here. And they open that up, which is nice. This house is super, super clean on this bedroom. I mean, this is a small nightstand. And I don't know if they have it staged this way for some reason, but it doesn't even look like you get to the closet here. That's okay. This is a second bedroom anyway. Bathroom 1, pretty clean. Bathroom 2, it looks like it's a little bit bigger. Got some nice wainscoting there. Nothing wrong with that one. And this is, okay, so this is the garage conversion that they turn into kind of it's a mother-in-law suite, I think is how they described it, but there's no kitchen or even kitchenette in here. So this is kind of like more of a sitting room, and then this is a bedroom. So it's kind of a 2-room suite, if you will. And I don't even think there's a bathroom in here, and you can see the laundry is out there. So they kind of have set up as an office. So super clean. I'm not a fan of doing the whole yard with the fake grass, to be honest with you. I would do, I don't mind it in like patches or whatever, but I provide a buffer there. This house is, or here it is right here. This house is definitely worth going out to look at this price, $291 a square foot. I'd want to see it, obviously a little bit cheaper than this. I think that we should be somewhere in the maybe $449 range for this house. It is jungle terrace. It is non-flood zone. You get the 4th bedroom, 1,600 square feet with a big yard. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think. I like it. I think it's worth seeing. And with that, let's take a look at house number 3. All right, let's take a look at house number 3 here. And this is in another neighborhood that we've been sort of spending a lot of time because you can find some deals. It's a great area. It's close to the water, but not in a flood zone. And that is the greater Pinellas County neighborhood. And the name alone should give you some indication of where it is. But I'm going to show you on the map so that you know. End of St. Pete right here. That is the southern tip of St. Pete. So we'll keep going out a little bit more just in case you're not familiar with the area. So here's downtown. We're pretty close. This is Pinellas Point, and this goes into Parrish and eventually into Bradenton and Sarasota. It's a really great area. It takes a little longer to get to the interstate, which would take you over to the airport, but it's not terrible. It's probably 50 minutes to the airport. But as you can kind of see from the map here, getting to the beach is nothing. You go out, boom, over the Bayway, the famous Don Cesar Hotel. Then you got really, my opinion, the best beach in all of Florida, which is Paso Grill. Parking's usually pretty easy. The parking is really close to the beach, so you park, and within a couple of minutes, you got your toes in the sand. So you're really, really close to the beach here, but you're not in a flood zone. This is a really well-established neighborhood as well. Let's take a look at the price action on this one, and it has been on the market. And this is, I like to see too, it hasn't been on the market that long, and this is evidence of a smart listing agent and a willing and smart seller. They went on the market at what I would say is not out of the ballpark, $359 a square foot for this house, not at all. At $799. They only gave it a week. Phone wasn't ringing, they weren't getting any showings, and they dropped it $50,000. They took another look. Maybe at the beginning they had said, hey, I think would probably be better off at $749, and maybe the seller said, let's try $799. They agreed on it, didn't work, and boom, they reacted quickly. That is a good sign. You want sellers who are willing to negotiate, to talk to you, to get into a conversation, and I think that's what we have here. So let's buzz through the pictures. This house has a lot of good stuff. They included a fact sheet as well. One of the things is the solar panels are paid off on this house, which is nice. So good curb appeal, nice circular driveway with the pavers. I mean, look at this. This looks almost like a brand new house. Again, beautifully designed. Somebody spent a lot of time on all of these touches, a lot of time and money. I mean, that's a big, big kitchen. Look at that. That's 3 stools there, 3 here, and then 3 here. I mean, this house screams family, friends, party, football weekends, whatever. I mean, and again, I don't know if the same photographer for the other house, just beautiful job photographing this house. Nice extra touches. I'm not sure if this is a tile wall or it could be some sort of laminate paneling or whatever, but anyway, it looks really nice. This house is staged beautifully. I mean, lots of extra touches, backsplash, a little splash of color over here. Got kind of some wainscoting over here. We got the sort of that same tile or laminate here. I mean, just really, really well done. I mean, is there anything that you don't like about this house so far? And we saw the price, it was $750. If this house, was, I mean, this is a good neighborhood. So I might have to revise my target price on this one because it really, I don't see anything wrong with it other than the barn doors on the bathroom, which is just a personal pet peeve of mine. Looks like we have some custom closets in here. I mean, look at this. It's absolutely gorgeous. Color, it all works. It all goes together. Second bathroom is beautiful. I mean, this looks like maybe it was a kid's room. Are you kidding me? This looks like it was out of a mansion. Beautiful wainscoting, wallpaper, and then the painted ceilings, which is a nice touch. Separate laundry room. I mean, I fully expected them to have a nice back porch, but this is also absolutely gorgeous back here. Again, a little goes a long way. They did, do some sort of xeriscaping here with the shells and stuff. That's just too much for me. I'd probably get rid of it and put in some natural vegetation. But again, that stuff is really expensive. So they spent some money on it, and they did trim it out nice here. So it does look, kind of scalloped edges here. So they didn't just put it down like it was a wall-to-wall carpet in the backyard. The generator, which is nice. And there's a shed back here. I mean, tell me what's wrong with this house. There's a million things that they've done to it. The solar's paid off. The house was rewired in 2017. They enclosed the screen room in 2019. A bunch of impact windows, sliding doors. Roof is 2020. No, excuse me. The roof is 2016. Just a lot of stuff. I'm not going to go through the whole list. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think. I was thinking on this one, we should be more in the, say 725 range, but I'd go see this one. I'd take a client to go see this with an open mind and not think this price is still too high. I think this is a pretty darn good price. I'd like to see it in person to see if there's anything weird about it that I'm missing, other than it's not on a busy street. I mean, I double checked that. Look at this. The neighborhood, Pinellas Point down here is beautiful. It's all sort of like size homes. This one is a couple years old because, you're in a neighborhood of similar size houses. I don't know. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think. My name is Steve Reynolds. I'm a realtor here in St. Petersburg. I cover all the Tampa Bay area. If you have any questions, please shoot me a text, give me a call, send me an email. I'd love to help you out. We're still in a buyer's market. It's a little more balanced now. I think that people have gotten used to the higher interest rates. So if you're selling and you want a market analysis of your house, just let me know. That's Deals of the Week for this week, and I will see you next time.